What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And look, another month, another Kizuna Clash on the way. We do know that it is going to be a Super Boss Kizuna Clash this time around as well, so do be careful about that. You need to build actually 4 separate teams. The 10-star difficulty, which is what we're going to be talking about in this video, there's 2 different bosses you have to clear, and then for the Super Boss, there's only 2 variations for that one as well, which I actually kind of prefer. You know, having the 3 different variations is just kind of a pain. 2 different variations for each one, I think that's perfectly sound. I do kind of like that. What I will say though is that the 10-star difficulty, it's not too bad, honestly, all things considered. It's okay in terms of the difficulty level, but what I will say is that the Super Boss, man, I honestly have no idea how the Super Boss is going to go. If you didn't get your hands on like Zoro, Kaku, Luffy, Lucci, etc., I don't know how you comfortably get through it whilst also doing a solid amount of damage. I honestly don't even know what I'm going to be doing for this Super Boss yet. This stuff looks crazy, man. Anyways, I digress. We're here to talk about the 10-star difficulty to get you guys prepped. Remember, you need to clear the 10-star difficulty a decent amount so that you can actually acquire those Super Boss tokens to actually take on the Super Boss fight. So that's what we're here to talk about today. One thing to note as well, in terms of just something silly I noticed about this Kizuna Clash. Where is it? Right here. They mentioned it. They mentioned it here somewhere. About the actual Kizuna Clash has some new gimmicks on it. I can't even find it. Anyway, either way, in this Super Boss Kizuna, there's like a stupid gimmick where they actually reverse the cooldowns of your Super Switch gauge. So if you want to use Super Switch characters, you actually need to bring units that reduce your Switch gauge level. And the amount of characters that do that is very minimal, especially characters that are accessible. So again, and just another layer added on top as to why this event looks really, really rough. Anyways, let's actually get into the 10-star difficulty fights, right? So we're going to start things off with the versus strength variation. This is the first boss that you should be coming up against. The 2 teams that we're going to be looking at for each variation, we're going to be using Khalifa. So we're going to use the Khalifa team for this one, and then the other team we'll look at very shortly also uses Khalifa as a friend captain. So in this quest, you see the gimmicks up on the side here that Quick Dex and Sai are the characters that receive cooldown. Despite the fact that some of the characters here, you know, like the strength unit in Sakazuki, he doesn't really receive the cooldown, I still think that this is going to be a solid option to bring, because the way that we need to use Kuzan is that we actually do need a strength unit, a dex unit, and a quick unit on our team in order for all of his abilities to activate. So it is kind of important that we do that. Moving on to stage 2, there's 9 turns of bind on the left-hand side of the crew, and all of our slots are changed into paralysis. This is why we're using this this Dex Red Recruit Sanji, who came out during the 8th anniversary, I want to say. His special ability gives us a chain boost, and if we have a free spirit or a fighter captain, it reduces paralysis bind and special bind by 5 turns. So with Sanji and the support of Nami in this exact position, Sanji can be either here or here, depending on where you want. This will enable him to remove all the paralysis slots and the bind completely just with one special. And with the way that the team works, I don't think you really need to activate any other specials. Remember, Khalifa is going to be super effective against all types. So I think that this team, you just hit all your perfects and then finish with Khalifa, should be more than enough damage to kill. And then we move on to the final stage. Now, there are different variations when you reach stage 3, as in, like, you know, the first level, there's going to be, like, the gimmicks are going to be easier. And then I think between levels 20 and 30, there's different gimmicks again. And then 31 and above are the most difficult gimmicks. So, of course, we've looked at level 31 and above, making sure that we deal with all of the gimmicks here. So, there is weakness class against fighter. So, if you bring fighter characters, they actually deal double damage, which is predominantly why... you know, we want to run as many fighters as possible, which we don't have like a ton, but you know, if you build around fighters, it's going to be more ideal, honestly. With this team as well, you will be dealt a 32% health cut. There's going to be normal attacks only, 2 turns of special reverse, which is really, really annoying. There's also 9 turns of despair. There is going to be 5 turns of damage threshold, and also 2 turns of your ship bind ability. So the way that we're dealing with most of this is that Khalifa Friend Captain deals with the ship bind ability. Khalifa with her EX Super, or a Super type, whatever it is, gives you 2 turns of cooldown for the crew, and also gives color affinity boost, and also the ability to negate damage. So for 1 hit, you can basically negate all the damage, which is important because you see that there is a death hit. There's also something to note as well, is that if you activate a special ability to change your slots around, it's actually going to go ahead and an unlimited amount of times to give Intimidate and also reduce the multiplier of attack and orb boosts. So yeah, pretty annoying effect there. So with this team, we do have the Stussy. The Stussy main key point here is that it removes damage threshold by 5 turns. It also gives chain boost, which is kind of neat. The Sakazuki on this crew, again, I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be ready or not. If he isn't going to be ready, then he will need to be replaced by someone else, but he is here to remove the 6 turns of despair. So kind of important to have some type of way to get around that, because remember, we do need a strength unit on the crew in order for Kuzan to get all of his abilities. And then we also have the Usopp and Yasop character, mainly here to give a delayed conditional boost, which is also pretty good. Khalifa with her special, remember, is going to give you like a ton of buffs, so Khalifa is going to be huge for this team. And then Kuzan gives all boost, color affinity boost. So yeah, it all comes down to like Sakazuki and him being ready. I'm not 100% sure if he will be ready. It's going to be kind of tough, but either way, if everything goes according to plan, I think this team is like somewhat accessible and should be able to get the job done against the Soba Mask fight. So now we are going to take a look at the Dex variation of the 10-star difficulty Kizuna boss. Now for this one, we're using Sakazuki as our main captain, and Sakazuki gets beneficial buffs if we have one of every color on the team. Once again, we are aiming to use Khalifa friend captain, and this team has like a ton of really cool units that you don't really use that often, I think. So I think this will actually be kind of a fun team to trial out. So, kind of breaking this one down, fighter, shooter, powerhouse, get all the cooldowns here. Stage 2, there's going to be a chain coefficient reduction. It's a 7-turn chain coefficient reduction, which is pretty annoying. As well as there's going to be 1 turn of fear for your crewmates. So, ideally, we're going to use the Bonnie special. This is the 6-star Bonnie, not the 5-star, the 6-star Bonnie. Now, this unit does have a super evolution, but the main reason why we use this Bonnie is because it's a fighter character, which works well with the fact that it just works with the team. Because the 6-star plus version, I believe, is Free Spirit Cerebral, so Khalifa doesn't actually boost this unit. But this unit here, it does remove Special Bind by 10 turns, which is like whatever, but the main reason why is that we can get a chain lock out of it. So it's kind of important that we get the chain lock, and she also has the fear reduction stuff, which is kind of cool too, but mainly here to just deal with the chain lock. It gives us a chain lock for that 1 turn, and then we can kind of just kill. I believe hitting by 6 perfects, that should be enough damage to get through. Alternatively, we can also use the Sakazuki super type to get a little bit of additional damage as well. Now, when you move into the last fight, there is weakness class against fighter characters, so fighter characters will do double damage. So Sakazuki as a captain being a fighter unit, Khalifa super effective against all types, also a fighter character, should work pretty well here. Now, there is going to be a chain attack down, so if your chain is less than 2, then you get 70% attack down. So the way that we're dealing with this is with this Dex Kuzan. Dex Kuzan with his special ability will provide us with a chain buff, which means that we can basically like just completely ignore all of the abilities. The chain buff does last for multiple turns as well, which is actually kind of important. There is going to be paralysis, which the Khalifa friend captain also deals with. Normal attacks only. Crew slots will be changed into block, which is why I have Borsalino on the team. Borsalino is relatively replaceable, but I wanted to have one of every color on the team to fulfill some of the conditions for Sakazuki, but ultimately not super required. There is going to be an effect where for 3 turns you can only deal 99% of the enemy's max HP. So what this means is that the boss will always require you to take 2 turns in order to kill the boss. So if you do as much damage as possible, the boss will survive on 1% HP, which is very frustrating. It's going to be a very annoying boss. And then there is going to be defense down, or by inflicting defense down, that's what you really should be doing or aiming to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Sakazuki, which can go ahead and inflict defense down because you are allowed to do that. There is an immunity, but you are allowed to inflict defense down. It is 6 turns of increased defense. I have Rob Lucci here as well, just to satisfy the conditions for the Khalifa super type, which we want to have as well. The enemy actually gives you an attack boost, a 3.2 times attack boost, which is kind of odd, but it is what it is. And there is also a slot barrier. Hitting the enemy with 3 quick slots will break it. Sakazuki is a captain. He removes barrier by, I think, 3 turns, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure it is. Reduce the duration of, yeah, by 3 turns. So that removes it, which is dope. Even if we didn't remove it, you could just go ahead and attack with barrier penetration, so it's really not that big of a deal. Now remember, the boss will take multiple turns to kill. because of the damage threshold, the damage reduction, damage limit, whatever it's called. And so what happens is after 1 turn has passed, the enemy reverses your specials by 2 turns and inflicts normal attacks only again. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. They don't remove your beneficial effects or anything like that. I think that should be okay. So I guess we'll have to wait and see exactly what occurs here. But these are the teams that I have currently going on. We'll see what happens. I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'll be running yet. I'll probably try and run S-Snake on one of my teams. Of course, the goal is to definitely use Khalifa Friend Captain as much as you possibly can to get as many Super Boss coins as you can and as many tickets as you can to get through the event quicker. So with all of that, that's going to wrap it up for me today. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.